Tovum Naim. Beautiful to be together. This would be an excellent time for anybody who's in the Zoom room, and welcome to all of you to just share a word of Shabbat Shalom in the chat. Feel free to say where you're joining us from, if you'd like to share a highlight of your week or from your Seder. And for those of us who are here in person, feel free to turn to someone sitting near you who you haven't yet greeted and offer a Shabbat Shalom greeting. Say hello.
Shabbat Shalom.
Susie, do you mind joining us for the candles? Would love for you to come up here. We have several members of the congregation who are going on a trip on Sunday, right? Sunday. Would you like to share with everybody where you're going? To España. Ole. So, what a special thing it is to, well, first of all, just to go on a trip at all.
That's amazing. Leaving the country is amazing.
So, you know, I think that those of you who have been on a trip, a congregational trip, perhaps a birthright trip, we just recently went to New York with the teenagers for a travel experience, a travel learning experience. There's really very little that can really, you know, make memories and build lasting educational value than going on a trip and having an experience together. So being able to go to Spain with Rabbi Offner and Nancy and some of your friends from TBT, and also from another congregation, as I understand, right?
You people from Beth Tikvah in Minnesota.
Right. So that's a really special opportunity. And I mean, I wish you could just pack me in your suitcase, to be honest. It sounds terrific. But we definitely look forward to hearing about it afterwards. And I wanted to offer you just a brief blessing as you prepare to go, that you should be blessed in your going and your coming, that you should be safe in your travels from anything that might await, viral or otherwise. Please God, be safe. That we wish you friendship and new memories and new experiences. We wish you a journey into history as you uncover the Jewish past, which is so consequential in Spain and so resonant and meaningful. And we wish you many delicious things to eat, many beautiful sights to behold, and many new stories to share when you come back with the rest of the congregation. So I'd also love for you then to have the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles as you embark upon your journey. So if one of you would like to light the match, and we're on page 120.
Looking forward to a trip with you.
Yeah.
You're a tour guide.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. Nisiyah tova, a safe journey to you, and I can't wait to hear what happens when you come back.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now enter Kabbalat Shabbat, this mystical service, which helps us take a little pause, feel the spirit of Shabbat and its relaxation, hopefully in our bodies. And through this ancient poetry, we sing of a story of love, togetherness, a yearning for a beautiful world beyond the complexities of this one. That's a world that we bring into our lives each week when we celebrate Shabbat. And so please turn to page 128 and sing with us Yedid Nefesh. These words are on page 636. Page 636.
Simchat
the moment of the greatest drama perhaps in the entire Exodus story that we learned and reread and studied this past week is at the crossing of the sea. The Israelites are threatened from behind, they're threatened from what's before them, and nobody knows if the sea will part. But when it does, when the miracle happens, the joy that's expressed pours out naturally in the most Jewish way possible, which is, of course, in song. Az yashir Moshe uvnei Yisrael et hashira hazot. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song. It was just from the sense of relief, catharsis, and joy that the gratitude poured out in melody. And that's why we have our psalms, which are themselves an outpouring of emotion and gratitude from a poet, that are meant to be sung, that are meant to be danced to, that are meant to be lamented over. And the Kabbalat Shabbat psalms are really the celebratory ones. So we sing this new song, says the poet, says the psalmist. Shiru ladonai, shir chadash, make your song new every time you sing it. I encourage us all to keep that as an intention in our hearts, to let the song be new. Perhaps it is new, but perhaps it's not. Let it feel that way, even so. Page 131, Shiru ladonai, shir chadash, sing a new song. Are much easier now. Let's try it together. Page 138, Lecha Dodi. Rise and face the entrance as we welcome Shabbat into our midst. Page 144, we remain standing. Amen.
Be'alma tivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei lechol Beit Yisrael Bagala uvizman kariv v'meru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam olam me'almaya yirparach v'yishtabach v'yirpahai v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadai v'yitale v'yitala shemei kurasha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma v'meru Amen.
We transition to the call to our evening service. Page 146 is the Baruch Hu. Turn the page and read together in English at the bottom of page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta, Torah umitzvot, chukim umishpatim otanu limadata. Akein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochvenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayinu ve'orech yameinu u'bahem nehegeh yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha l'tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, page 152. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You can have a seat. Turn the page to 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elen asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'isharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Page 157. Let's read together as we place ourselves back in the mythic and really timeless experience of the moment of liberation. Top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, the promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, and singing all the while Micha Mocha on page 158.
Torah
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, galo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Page 162. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth. On the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. As we sing together, Veshamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
It's always nice to be able to celebrate nice things, happy things, joyful things, and we have actually 2 joyful things to celebrate tonight. 2 milestone birthdays, which I'm very glad that we get to say Yom Huledet Sameach, happy birthday, to Lori and Ronnie. And Ronnie, would you please join us here on the Bima? Lori is joining us from Zoom land. Hello, I see you waving. Would you mind unmuting and making sure that we can hear you here in the room? Would you like to say Shabbat Shalom?
Mute. Here we go.
All
Shabbat
right.
shalom.
Excellent, Lori. Good to see you. And Ronnie and Lori are turning significant ages, which I shall not mention.
Oh,
but
how nice of you.
but they're very meaningful ages and very close together. Although I don't know that the 2 of you actually know one another. Do you?
Laura, who is she?
Lori Peck, Lori
No.
and Ronnie. Have you met before?
She's much younger than me.
Yes, obviously, decades.
Let's
So
not push it.
and so, all joking aside, it is a notable and beautiful thing to reach a milestone birthday. And so we will offer this blessing for both of you. The first part of which I will read, and the second part of which you will read together. The timing won't be perfect because we have a Zoom and an in-person, and this is just the messy world we live in. But it's okay. The cacophony will rise in the blessing together, and it will be beautiful. So here I begin in blessing you on this occasion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shenatan mechokhmato levasar v'adam, We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You give of your wisdom to flesh and blood, author of life. Our times are in your hand. We thank you for the blessing of life and for everything that enriches our lives. We turn to you now with special gratitude to share in the happiness of Ronnie and Lori as they mark a milestone birthday, each of them. Be with them now and always. May they be blessed with health and happiness, and with the strength also to overcome sickness and sorrow. As we honor them for the gifts they bring to our sacred community, our TBT family, we pray that each day will bring them an abundance of blessing. And this is your parts to read together, starting with Mi Sheberach. Ready?
That's me.
That's you.
This one's me. Just want you to know that.
Oh, thank you, yes.
Okay.
You're one of the matriarchs, got it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, ready, Lori?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Mi
Mishaberach,
sheberach avotenu ve'imotenu,
Avraham,
Abraham,
Yitzhak,
Yitzhak, Yaakov,
Yaakov, Sarah,
Sarah, Rivka,
Rachel, Rachel,
Rachel,
Leah.
Leah.
You have sustained
me these many years
and brought me
and
to this
brought me to this place in
in
my life's
journey.
Let
Let me look
me
out with
look out
wisdom
with wisdom
from the
from
high ground
the high
of my
ground
years
of my years and
experiences
experiences
over the terrain
over
of
the
my
terrain
life.
of my life.
Let me
Gaze out toward the past and the
and the
future
with a
with
heightened
a heightened sense
presence
of your presence as my
as my
guide.
Let me see that
Let me
growth
see
is
that
not
growth is
reserved
not reserved for
any
any
one season,
one season,
and that love
and that love
fulfillment
and
are
fulfillment
not the exclusive
the
province of
exclusive
the young.
provinces of the young.
As I celebrate
As
reaching
I
this
am
moment,
reaching this
I am
moment,
grateful
I'm
for
grateful for the continued unfolding of my life.
A little bit more. Turn
I
the
pray
page.
that
Pray that
kindness,
kindness and
compassion may be
compassion
on my lips,
may be on that strength
that
and
strength and
courage
courage may be with
may
me in
be
my
with me
comings
in
and
my
goings,
comings and
and
goings,
that I may
and that
continue
I
to
may
learn
continue
from
to
and to teach
learn
those dear to
from
me.
and to teach those
O
dear
God,
to
my
me.
Creator,
May
as you are the
the-
first
You are
and
the
the
first
last,
and the
may
last.
my life ever be
May
a
there
song
ever
of
be
praise
a
to you.
song of praise to you.
Baruch atah Adonai mevarech hashanim.
Shana.
We praise you, God,
who
who
blesses the
blesses
years.
the years. Thank you. I know that wasn't easy to do in the back and forth, but it was
We did a
beautiful.
good job.
And you did the greatest job.
Yeah.
Not
To which
that I'll
all
go
of
on
us
my
can,
own
by the
order.
way, say amen. But don't go anywhere because we have one more blessing. Upon reaching a milestone, we thank God who has given us life, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this special time. And so, Kancha, will you lead us in Shehachianu?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech
melech
haolam Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh.
Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
Mazel Tov,
Thank you.
Lori. And to
Thank you.
Stephen, and I think that's your daughter with you, and maybe a dog also.
It's our puppy. It's my puppy who insisted on being
You have to understand, the screen is like this, so I can't really see. I'm glad it was a dog. That could have gone badly. Okay, thank you so much, and Mazal Tov. Okay, thank you, Corey, for helping make that happen.
job.
Great, Mazal Tov.
Okay, so now we. Okay, now what?
We look forward to sharing the next milestone birthday in our sanctuary. We'll continue now with the Amidah on page 164. Please rise if it's comfortable for you to do so. And we begin with the first three blessings together, and we'll have a moment also of silent prayer. Page 164.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia, Morbid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Hechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Hasubim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Kivurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata L'Chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yahalelu Chasela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
The Amidah continues through to page 180, and you can also feel free, if you wish, to close the prayer book and enjoy a moment of silent prayer and meditation. We'll take a moment and then join for a prayer for peace on page 180. Just as we have moments of joy, so too do we acknowledge some moments of difficulty that are going on in our community. There are TBT friends, family members, those known to us who are in need of healing this evening, including our temple members Amy Agranov, April D'Amato, Norma Diamond, Henry Gedenberg, Marjorie Hart Glossband, Marcia Jacoby, Josh Lipschitz, Sabrina Maurer, and Paula Retsky, and also loved ones made known to us, including Marie Sammartino, Connie Ambrosino, Mickey Bart, Jay Fliss, Sue Yaris, Marie Frisch, Joanne Crisulo, Jerry Hill, Matthew Pincus, Bart Young, Marvin Goldberg, Barry Cooperberg, Robert Harris, Anthony Santomoro, Paul Frischman, Martin Gluck, Rob Gothlin, Joan Sidney, Kate Marsland, Michael Stafford, Ira Weiss, Peggy Pig, Betsy Powers Brown, Derek Pearson, and Amania Walyersek. As we prepare to join in the Mishaberach prayer for their healing and recovery, if you'd like to add a name of somebody who you're thinking of for healing tonight, feel free to do so. If you're on Zoom, in the chat at this time, and if you're in person, I'll come around if you'd like to add a name to our Mishaberach prayers. Anybody connect to Mishaberach?
Bill Heller.
I'm sorry.
Bill Heller.
Bill Heller?
Heller.
Heller.
Heller. P.
Heller. Sorry.
Heller. Very good, Mama.
Mary Beth Malone. We pray also for Carol Robb. We pray, God, Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu, God of our forebears, in their merit may we find strength, healing, comfort, safety, and fortitude. Please pray with us, page 371, as we think of all those in need of healing. 371. In the merit of the righteous women, Israel were redeemed from Egypt, and in their merit the future generations will be redeemed. So says Talmud Sota, page 11b. When I read that, it brought me back to 2 weeks ago with JChat. For those of you who don't know JChat, it's our program for our 11th and 12th graders who meet with me once a month. We have lunch, we talk about a Jewish topic, we have a nice time. Sometimes it's a very controversial topic, sometimes it's a very spontaneous topic, sometimes I plan a topic. This particular time, one of the students actually brought up the topic, which was the afterlife. So we had a discussion about the afterlife. And then I also had planned a little quiz, a little pre-Passover quiz on Kahoot. For those of you who don't know Kahoot, you take out your cell phone, and it's like a trivia game where you press red, blue, green, or yellow for each question. And whoever gets it fastest, gets more points. So 20 questions about Passover. We played. They actually did very, very well. There were a lot of very high scores. Some of the questions were not very easy. But one of the questions with the lowest overall score was, what were the name of the Hebrew midwives in the Passover story? Does anybody remember what the names of the Hebrew midwives in the Passover story? It was not Leslie and Marlene.
No, we had a discussion about this many years ago.
The rabbis in the room don't get to answer. So, exactly. Everybody knows the name Moses. Everybody knows Pharaoh, although we don't know his name, which is interesting. But we don't always remember about Shifra and Puah. I know, Leslie, it was on the tip of your tongue. Oh, someone got it in the chat? Was it Stu Weinzimmer?
That was Lauren.
Oh, nice. All right, excellent. Extra points. So anyway, it just got me thinking about this idea that the male characters, Moses and Aaron and Pharaoh frequently get a lot of the attention, but it's a lot of the women characters that make the whole story possible. And without them, it just wouldn't have happened. So I thought, because this is the last night as the sun is setting, as Passover is ready to go out, I thought I'd get one more Passover teaching in. And this one is going to be about the 4 most important female stories behind the scenes in the Exodus story, without which it wouldn't have happened. First, the midwives, whose names were? Shifra and Puah. I know it doesn't really roll off the tongue. Shifra and Puah. And the Torah describes the characters as Mialdot ha'ivriot, which means literally Hebrew midwife. But just like in English, there's ambiguity. Are the midwives themselves Hebrews, or are they midwives to the Hebrew women? It's unclear. We don't really know. They could have been Egyptians. They could have been Israelites. But a tradition from the Talmud, in the same section as what I just read a moment ago, identifies Shifra with Moses' mother, Yocheved, and Puah with Moses' sister, Miriam, which would then make the midwives mother and daughter. Now, it doesn't actually say that in the Torah. That's just a later idea about who they were. We don't really know. But regardless of their true identities, these midwives are truly the unsung heroes of the story, because when Pharaoh issued his evil edict that every Hebrew girl be allowed to live, but every boy be murdered, the midwives were the ones who interceded. And you might have heard about that story about how they saved all these babies in religious school. They might not have told you the dialogue behind the story in religious school, which is really part of the richest elements of Shifra and Puah's saving role, where when they're approached by the Egyptian taskmasters as to where all these babies are going that they're saving and why they're not doing their job, they say, these women are so hardy that they give birth before we can even get there. Sorry. That's Shifra and Puah. Okay, number 2. 2 most important women. We already saw Shifra and Puah. The second one, though, is Bat Paro, Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter, who also I don't believe is named in the Torah, is maybe the most remarkable character of all, because we know that she is not a Hebrew. She is definitely not Jewish, yet she saves Moses as he's floating down that river in his basket, illustrating the heart and essential humanism, essential universalism of this story, which is, of course, a tribal story, a story of clash between peoples, one people enslaving the other, and yet the bravery of Pharaoh's daughter from the dominant family to be able to save and make possible the redemption. Story number 3, and this one you will not find at all in the Torah. This is a story of the women who saved by the most unlikely means. Those of you who did Torah study with me a couple months ago now, we examine this story together. You have to go a little bit further from the story of liberation to get there, because there's a question of where does this valuable copper that is needed to build the desert tabernacle, the sanctuary that the Israelites carry through with them, where does it come from? How could they possibly have such things having escaped from Egypt? Well, here comes a story about women of slaves, wives of slaves, who were standing outside of their slave quarters, and they would have these polished copper mirrors. And Moses was about to reject those mirrors because Moses, being the classic misogynist, said, why would you give such a gift that's just about vanity? It's just about prettifying yourself. How can such a gift possibly help elevate the Holy Tabernacle? But according to the Midrash, the story is that in the time before that, when the Israelites were still enslaved, these women would bring the mirrors out, gather with their husbands, have a moment together, polish the mirror so they could actually see themselves. Can you just imagine what it would be like to be a slave? Of the many ways that you're dehumanized as a slave, one is that you don't have any way to see yourself or make yourself look nice, feel good about the way that you look, right? There's no mirrors in those slave barracks in ancient Egypt. But these women brought these finely polished mirrors to have a moment together looking in the mirror and remembering their humanity together with their husbands, which I would say euphemistically led to a moment of realization of their longing to be together, which then, according to the Midrash, led to many children. So it was the women with their mirrors who reminded their husbands that they're still alive, even though they're slaves. And for that reason, according to this idea, Moses said, accept those mirrors, I cannot. But God comes in and says, yes, you should accept them because these people are dear to me and their contributions are dear to me than any other, because through them the women reared many children in Egypt. That one you will not find in the Torah. Number 4, and this is the person I know you've heard of, Miriam. The iconic image, right? Circles of Israelite women joining hands, dancing with timbrels at the edges of the sea of reeds after having just crossed safely onto dry land. As it says in the Torah, and Miriam, the prophet, the sister of Aaron, took her timbrel in her hand, and all the other women followed her, singing. Last we had heard of Miriam, she was a little girl of 5 years old. And all of a sudden, in this scene, here she is, a leader among women, a leader among her people. And it says in the Song of the Sea, in that beautiful outpouring from which we get the Michamocha, which we read on Passover, it says that she essentially does the same thing that her brother does. At the beginning of the song, Moses, as I mentioned earlier, says, Az yashir Moshe u'vnei Yisrael et hashira hazot ladonai ve'yamru lemor. Then Moses and all of the people sang. But interestingly, Moses is in Hebrew the singular. Az yashir Moshe u'vnei Yisrael. It says that Moses sang, and then everybody else. So he's sort of, acting very Moses-y. He's very hierarchical, he's very top-down, he's very alone. And then the people sing with him. But Miriam, just a few verses later, does the same thing where she gathers the people to sing, but her verse is a little different. Here's what it says. V'ta'an lahem Miriam, shiru ladonai ki ga'o ga'a. And they responded to Miriam. They responded to Miriam. So the emphasis is actually not on her singing to them so much as her ability to get them to sing to her. And then she sings the same words as they sang before. Now, you might read this and it might not seem like such a significant difference. But the earliest Hebrew translation, Greek translation of the Bible called the Septuagint, picks up on this difference and translates it in an interesting way. It translates ta'an, which means answered, the women answered Miriam, as led them in song. Led them in song. I love teaching this verse in a song leading conference sort of setting, because it's really all about what song leading is. It's not just about being able to sing. It's not just being able to impress people with your voice, but being able to encourage them and create a much bigger, broader, more beautiful communal voice. Is this a classic man-woman thing? I don't know. Is it a classic power of the charismatic hierarchy versus power of listening and leading together with a collaborative atmosphere? You can read what you want into it. But I do think that it's a remarkable show of leadership, and it's Miriam's leadership. It's Miriam's song, which we don't always remember or mention when we talk about the song. So anyway, I could go on and on. There are more characters I didn't even mention, like Tzipporah. We didn't talk much about Yocheved, so that'll be for another night. But I hope that at least now we can see that without all of these women behind the scenes, the escape, the miracles, the story, and then the whole continuation of the Israelite people would not have been possible. And so, as the Talmud says, in the merit of the righteous women, Israel were redeemed from Egypt, and in their merit, the future generations will be redeemed. So too in this day, I believe. I'm going to invite us to turn to page 570. This is a tradition that comes especially from the mystics, who encourage us to count each day between our two big holidays of Passover and Shavuot. It's called Counting of the Omer. Page 570 in brackets. The mystics take this practice of counting up each day as an opportunity for us to examine our soul traits, think about the spiritual path we're on. So in the next few weeks, we'll offer a few teachings that are connected. Each day, there's a specific soul trait that we lift up in combinations of these elements that are seen as divine qualities that we can emulate. But for tonight, we'll just count. And the way that we count is traditionally the way that we stood at Sinai. So we invite everybody to please rise. It says, like we're standing at Sinai as we count the Omer. We're now approaching a full week because the first night that we counted was on Saturday night. Hineni muchan u'mizuman l'kayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. I'm ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. So we could read this blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshana b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Thank you, God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commands us to count the Omer. Hayom shiv'a yamim shehem shavua achad la'omer. Today is 7 days, which is the first full week of the Omer. You too can count at home. If you're a fan of The Simpsons, I have a chart that I printed out that's called Counting of the Homer. Yes, it is real. Susan discourages it, but I think it's great. Conclude our service on page 586.
Ladon hakol, latet gerula leotze bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korbim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה
Have a seat. As we transition into a time of memory within our service, I offer this meditation on page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love, for your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. In our time of memory, we remember those who passed away from our community within the past 7 or 30 days and the period of Shiva or Shloshim in Hebrew, including Rose Gleish, mother of Lizzie Sharp. If you've come to observe a yahrzeit tonight, feel free to rise if you're comfortable and stay standing as I read the name of your loved one. Jeanette Siegel, Lila Leonard, Ron Richmond, Max Ottenheimer, Anita Schainerman, Ethel Weinstein, Erwin Savadnik, Norman Berg, Sarah Sonny Marcus, Michael Olbaum, Minette Sclair, Arnold Burak, Joseph Freeman, Irving Belkin, Bernard Bromberg, David Marcus, Helen Sturman, Samuel Weinstein, Samuel Azuz, Samuel Bagish, Morris Green, Dr. Max Pletman, Eleanor Waldman, Janet Miller, and Sylvia Paley. If there are others saying Kaddish this evening, we'd like to recognize you and your loved one, so please feel free as I come around the room to share the name of your loved one, or you can do so also in the chat at this time, if you're on Zoom. I invite all of us, if it's comfortable, to please rise at this time as we continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Thank you. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah be'alma divra chireute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela mincho birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'akol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'akol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to our people Israel, and to all who are in bereavement today, as we say, amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
We can all have a seat. I don't know about you, Cantor, but I'm really enjoying all of the harmonies I'm hearing from both sides here tonight. And I know that they're coming also from Zoom, so it's good to see all of you friends who have joined us on Zoom. We look forward to seeing you in person someday soon. And let's make Kiddush together. I did mention at the beginning of the service that, oh, sorry, we have announcements. Sorry, Jeff. Thank you for reminding me. Jeff Babin, please greet us on behalf of the Temple Board. I don't want to forget.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And a warm welcome to any guests who are with us tonight. I'm Jeff Babin, the immediate past president on the TBT Board of Directors. And please, tomorrow, join us on Zoom for Jewish mindfulness and meditation at 8 a.m., followed by Torah study at 9, led by Rabbi Moss.
Led by Cantor Boyle.
It's called an audible. Cantor Boyle.
Not your phone.
This Sunday, there will be no religious school. This coming Wednesday, we join together with CBS RZ in Chester for our joint Yom HaShoah service at 7 p.m., both in person at CBS RZ and on Zoom. And I believe those of us on the TBT trip to Spain are going to have some commemoration also in Spain. And this, I'll just add, 3 years ago when we were on the TBT trip to Eastern Europe, we were there for Yom HaShoah and actually went to a commemoration at a synagogue in Prague where TBT Torah actually came from. It was just very meaningful. So we're going to be in Europe again for that. Next Friday, join us back here at Camp Laurelwood for Shabbat services at 6:30. And looking ahead, don't forget the TBT annual meeting will be this year on Wednesday, May 11th at 7 p.m. So look for information about that. And again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the reminder, too. All right. Okay, so again, this will be a choose-your-own-adventure Kiddush. We have for Motzi both the challah and the matzah. So no judgment either way. You can have whichever you want after we break bread symbolically. But first, Kenta will lead us in the Kiddush. So please join along.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'masei v'reshit ki hu yom tefila le'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat. Amen.
Chaim. This is our new TBT challah cover. Came from Israel this week. Ooh, ah, pretty. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Up here, yeah.
Up here for people who want. I'm actually comfortable passing this around now. Does anybody want to follow or want to? Are you guys ready for follow? Here, you can get the special clip. Everybody ready to break your face off? Yes? Okay. This is the Reformed tradition. Okay. Please don't sing while chewing, but we do have a closing song, right?
Yes, page 643, Hava Nashira. Hava, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah, hava. Shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah, hava. The end. I can just keep
Okay,
going.
well, it's so good to be together. So good to see some of you in person for the first time in a long time, or for the first time at all. And make sure to introduce yourself to somebody new if you haven't before you leave. And for those of you who have joined us on Zoom, sorry I can't give you that opportunity, but come see us in person soon. It's going to be a really exciting spring at TBT. We have so much going on in the next 7 weeks. It will make your head spin, and we're going to see you on the green. We're going to see you at far-flung places in the community. We're going to be celebrating. We're going to have holidays. We're going to have B'nai Mitzvah. We're going to have confirmation. I feel like the rabbi in Robin Hood Men in Tights. We're going to bless the bites. We're going to bless this. Okay. Maybe you don't get the... Thank you very much. Okay. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Good to
Shabbat
see you.
shalom.